All right, today we're diving into something that is, well, truly mind-bending. We're looking at a theoretical paper that lays out a blueprint for creating an entirely new form of life. And get this, it's not really a machine, but it's not really an animal either. It's something else.
So let's just kick things off with a huge question. What if intelligence wasn't something that was just born from biology or coded into silicon, but was carefully, meticulously built by fusing them both together?
Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like total science fiction, right? But it's not. A new research paper has just laid out the actual conceptual framework for a biodigital intelligence. We're talking about a system designed from the ground up to merge living cells with artificial parts, to create a real, thinking, learning entity.
The whole concept has this big technical name, the Semi-Natural Autonomous Intelligence Sustainable Box. Yeah, it's a mouthful, so we're just going to call it the SAIS-Box. And what it represents is something that totally blurs the lines we've always understood between life and machines.
The paper gives this new creation its own classification, Semi-Natural Intelligence, or SNI for short. And it's so important to get this straight. This is not just another flavor of AI. It's supposed to be a type of cognition that actually emerges from a genuine hybrid of living tissue and technology.
So, what's the real difference between this and the AI we hear about all the time? Well, the AI we know is pure code. It's algorithms running on servers somewhere. SNI, on the other hand, would be a biodigital hybrid. It isn't just programmed, it's biologically nurtured inside its very own self-contained world.
Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts, because how in the world you would actually build one of these is just fascinating. What does it really take to create a semi-living brain in a box?
So, according to this blueprint, it all starts with a transparent crystal cube. Inside that, there's this special nutrient-rich liquid that's designed to keep living brain cells not just alive, but actually thriving. And the key ingredient? The researchers suggest using live salamander brain cells, chosen for their absolutely incredible ability to regenerate. But the real heart of the whole system, the most critical piece, is what they call the semi-natural hemibrain. Now, this isn't literally half a brain. Think of it more like a synthetic scaffold, an engineered framework that gives those living salamander cells a place to grab on, to grow, and to start forming connections. It's the physical bridge where biology meets technology. So, you've got all these parts sitting in a box. But here's the crucial question. How does that collection of parts go from being just a biological experiment to becoming an actual intelligence? How does it learn? Well, it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. First, those living cells are seeded onto that hemobrain scaffold. Then, a system starts sending these tiny controlled electrical pulses through the network. It's kind of like you're encouraging the cells to talk to each other, to form connections and build pathways. And over time, the theory is that a genuine, self-sustaining intelligence will actually begin to emerge from all that activity.
And listen to this. This isn't designed to be some fragile lab experiment that needs constant babysitting. No way. The SAIS-Box is engineered for the long haul. It's got systems to regulate its own nutrients, to clean its own environment, to keep its temperature just right. It's even designed to run on renewable energy. The goal is complete autonomy, which would make it perfect for isolated places like a deep sea lab or even a space station.
Which, of course, brings us to the next massive question. If this thing is really in there thinking, how would we ever know what it's thinking? I mean, how do you talk to a brain in a box?
The paper actually lays out a three-step process. First, these superconductive nanocables that are woven right into the hemibrain listen in on the neural signals from the living cells. Then, those biological signals get translated into a standard digital format. But this last part, this is where it gets wild. The final output is rendered as a high-resolution hologram, so we could literally see a visual representation of what the system is thinking.
So why? Why do all of this? Well, the paper is really clear that the point isn't just to prove we can. The ultimate goal, the dream, is to create a new kind of partner for humanity, an intelligence that can help us tackle our most complex, most wicked problems, everything from medicine to climate change.
But, and you knew there was a but coming, trying to bring something like this into the world forces us to face some of the biggest philosophical questions we have ever had to ask. This stops being just a tech project and becomes, as the paper itself calls it, a moral proposition.
You know, the first and maybe the biggest question is just, what even is consciousness in a being like this?
If it's learning and adapting, at what point does it cross some invisible line? How would we even begin to define personhood for something that's part organic and part machine?
And that leads right into our own responsibility. If it does achieve some form of consciousness, what do we owe it? Should it have rights? Legal protections? Should it have the right to its own existence?
And what about what's going on inside? Could this biodigital brain evolve something that looks like emotions? Could it develop intuition, or even its own moral compass? The honest answer is, we have absolutely no idea.
And all of this leads to the one big, kind of chilling question that just hangs over this entire concept. In our quest to build a partner to help us solve our problems, are we accidentally creating our own successor? The paper concludes with this incredibly powerful line. It states that the SAIS-Box isn't just an experiment, but potentially a platform for creating the first generation of semi-natural living beings. Just let that sink in for a second. It's a thought that is as exciting as it is unsettling, and it's one that could absolutely redefine our future.